And now, with Vamp Till Dead and the performance of Miss Ginger Rogers, Autolite hopes once again to keep you in suspense.
Your first name, I've forgotten. What did you say it was?
Amy, Mr. Gentry. Amy Watkins.
Amy. Yes. And are you a good secretary, Amy?
Why, you have all of my recommendations, Mr. Gentry. I mailed them to you a week ago.
Oh, yes. To be sure, I must have looked at them or I wouldn't have hired you and had you come all the way from New York now, would I? You never worked for a writer. You think you'll like it here in this big house, working for me?
I hope so, sir.
Sir. Sir. That's very good. Did that politeness come from some secretarial school, or perhaps your dear old mother taught it to you?
No, I know, sir.
Never mind, Amy. As soon as we finish eating, you may unpack, write whoever you have to write, and explain that you are safely here. We start work first thing in the morning.
I'll attend to all that, Mr. Gentry.
What do you think of me?
I beg your pardon?
Me? How do I strike you? What am I? A gentle person, a wit, a profound talent, a buffoon? Tell me, Amy. I'd be interested in your opinion.
Well, I've only known you half an hour, Mr. Gentry.
Then I'll tell you I'm a writer. Amy, do you know what it means to have 1,000,000 words inside of you and not be able to let them out?
No, sir.
It's an utter horror, and that's the way it's been with me for almost a year. But now I'm ready to go back to work again and release those 1,000,000 words. To take them down, that'll be your job.
I'll do my best, Mr. Gentry.
It's not going to be easy. Very demanding, Amy. That's why I'm paying you a good salary. I'll make you work when it's working time.
I understand, Mr. Gentry.
Sometimes I feel like working, and sometimes I don't. And sometimes I like carnations on the dinner table, Amy. Very hard to get. Shipping problems in winter like this. Delicate, fragile things.
Yes, they are. But they're my favorite flower.
The cook's name is Jenny. She'll help you find your way around the house. And for heaven's sake, call me Paul, not Mr. Gentry.
Yes, Paul.
Oh, that's better. I suppose you're tired.
Yes, I am. It was a terribly long trip.
You can find your way to your room. Wait a moment, Amy. Wait. First time I've had a good look at you. Can't see by candlelight over a dinner table. Tilt your head toward the lamp. I want to see your face more clearly.
But don't.
Do as I say. You're trembling as I touch your face, Amy. You're frightened.
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not at all.
At this instant, you can't decide whether or not I'm a madman. You must need this job very badly.
I want to work for you. I have an invalid father.
I'm not interested in your problems. Don't tell them to me. Amy, it's an assistance to me if people adjust to new situations as quickly as possible. Have you heard about my wife?
No, sir. I haven't.
Well, you will, so I'll tell you. People around here say I killed Mrs. Gentry.
His great black eyes, set deep back in his head, seemed to be laughing at me when he said that, as though he expected me to run from the room and get as far away from him as I could. But I didn't move. Somehow, in that moment, I knew that I wanted to be near him, no matter what he had done.
Good night, Amy.
I went upstairs to my room. I could still hear laughter even after I closed the door. And then, finally it stopped. And I was lying across my bed when I was aware that someone was standing beside me.
He's like that, child. You mustn't mind him.
What?
It's his way. A way you'll come to know and understand if you remain here and work for him. I'm Jenny, the cook.
Oh, yes. I'm glad to meet you. He said you'd show me around. Somehow I didn't imagine you'd be like this.
Oh, my dear. Well, I find more satisfactory inspiration in serving meals for a fine writer like Paul Gentry than I ever found in the 23 years I taught a high school English class.
Mm-hmm. Jenny, I'm going to like you.
Don't let him upset you. He really doesn't mean it. He can be as gentle as he is harsh. No one really understands him.
Did Mrs. Gentry understand him?
No, she didn't. She never made an attempt. There's a question in your eyes, Amy.
Was she murdered?
Yes. In that little guest cottage down by the bridge. You can see it from this window.
There? Oh, it seems so still and quiet, Jenny. It's hard to realize.
Yes. It happened almost a year ago. I served dinner that night. They argued over something trivial, or flowers on the table. Mrs. Gentry ran from the house. A few minutes later, I could hear her playing the piano from that cottage. Some little tune that always infuriated him. The next morning, her body was found slumped over the piano. Her neck was broken. That's all.
Thank you for telling me about it, Jenny.
There was no evidence against Mr. Gentry. No proof. Only hearsay and talk.
I see.
You'll hear that talk from time to time, Evie. Will it disturb you?
No, I don't think so.
Strange.
What?
Your appearance, my dear. It's really quite remarkable how much you resemble Isabel Gentry.
I didn't go right to bed that night. Instead, I slipped out of the house after everything became quiet and followed the path across the bridge to the guest cottage, where she had been murdered. The door was unlocked, and even though it was dark, I found the piano. As I played, I wondered how much of Paul Gentry I might have understood if I had been Isabel. For the next 3 weeks, I took dictation from morning till night. The whole place was geared especially for his return to work. Jenny seemed to be everywhere, bringing in meals at all hours, slipping in and out of rooms silently, so as not to disturb anyone. And then one afternoon, when I walked into his study, there was another man standing there beside Paul.
Oh, Amy. This is Al Pender, a local newspaper man. He tried his best to have me indicted for murder.
Oh? How do you do, Mr. Pender?
I'm a celebrity, Amy. Pender wants to interview me about my new book. Why don't you tell him all about it?
I wouldn't want the responsibility, Paul.
You can tell him how bad it is as well as I can.
No, Paul. I couldn't say that about it.
What could you say about it? Anything worthwhile? The dropped eyes, the withdrawal. Isabel used to react the same way when I became angry with her.
Do I remind you of her?
Yes, you remind me of Isabel, of all the things in her that stopped me from writing. How do you like that, Pender? There's a story for you to print.
You want me to print it, Gentry?
I'd kill you if you did.
I'm sorry that I remind you of Isabel, Paul.
Are you, Amy? Are you really? No, I don't think you are. I don't think you are at all.
Well, has he been like this much?
I'd rather not say, Mr. Pender.
Al. I'm glad he left, Amy. I think you're a nice person.
Thank you.
Too nice to work for him. How'd you meet him? How'd you get this job?
I found out he was going back to work and needed a secretary.
Did you know that no one in town would work for him?
Yes, because of Isabel Gentry.
And still you came here?
Yes.
He killed her. Everyone knows it.
It was never proved.
No, because of a technicality. I watched him here with you. He looked at you the same way he used to look at Isabel, with that fury in his eyes.
I know that.
And there's a reason. At times, Amy, you look a great deal like her. That means you're in danger as long as you're around him. He's a madman. He might actually think of you as Isabel.
I want him to think of me as Isabel in every way possible, every day, every minute. There must be some way to prove he killed her.
Who are you?
I'm Isabel Gentry's sister.
Autolite is bringing you Miss Ginger Rogers with John Hoyt in Vamp Till Dead.